We make most of our smartphone reviews based on the Chinese versions of these devices. The reason is simple. The Chinese models are always released first, while the global versions usually take a few more months to arrive. In our review comment sections, we often see people asking whether the Chinese version will work properly in their country. Now, we have both the Chinese version and the global version of the OnePlus 15 here. Let's take them as the example to show you exactly what the real differences are between the Chinese version and the global version. First of all, the accessories. The size of the packaging alone already hints at a difference in the accessories. Inside the box of the Chinese OnePlus 15, you get a phone case, a 120-watt charger, and a cable. However, the global version only includes the cable and a stack of manuals. Of course, not every global variant of every phone comes with fewer accessories. Usually, only the models sold in Europe and North America are without the charger. These regions have a tighter ESG regulations. Smartphone companies are required to reduce carbon emissions as much as possible. So for this European OnePlus 15, the lack of a charger and case is probably due to those regulations. Next, let's talk about the system. Why did the phone screen suddenly go black? Now, when something like this happens, don't panic. Before sending it for repair, you can try exporting your important data first. I know a toolkit called Dr. Phone from Wondershare. It can manage your phone, repair your system, recover your data, transfer your files, and so on. In situations like this black screen issue, you can use Dr. Phone to save your data first and then try the system repair feature to fix the phone. The repair process is simple. Dr. Phone automatically detects your device model, guides you through the firmware download, and then restores the system without requiring any serious skills. Sometimes I also forget the screen lock password on one of the devices. You know, we have dozens of phones in the studio, so it's easy to make these mistakes. That's why having a reliable unlock tool is extremely helpful. Dr. Phone supports a wide range of unlocking scenarios on both iOS and Android, including MDM bypass, Apple ID removal, and even Android FRP unlocking. To avoid similar incidents from happening again, Dr. Phone also provides us with the backup features. Very thoughtful. For such an amazing all solutions in one toolkit, there's even a free trial for first-time users. If you're interested in Dr. Phone, you can click the link below the video. Now that the phone is fixed, let's get back to the video. The most obvious difference is that one phone runs Oxygen OS while the other runs ColorOS. Anyone familiar with the OnePlus knows that aside from the home UI being closer to stock Android, most of the features and operation logic are basically the same. For other brands, the differences are even smaller. Many of them use identical icons and system name. However, the global versions may miss certain features for many reasons. For example, the AI features here aren't as complete as on the Chinese version. There are also differences in voice assistant and LLMs. Chinese phones each have their own native voice assistant, while global phones almost always use Google Assistant or Gemini. Of course, you can install Gemini on a Chinese phone as well, but you won't be able to wake it up as quickly as the global version. In my opinion, the biggest obstacle when using a Chinese phone in another region is the network bands. Chinese models usually lack several major North American bands such as B12, B13, and B17, which can lead to noticeably worse coverage in areas with weak signals compared to phones purchased locally. That said, as long as you're outside of North America, you will find almost no difference. Meanwhile, the global version, just as the name suggests, can be used almost anywhere without a problem. Whether you buy it in Europe or the America, you won't run into issues. Aside from the network bands, there's also the matter of eSIM. The Chinese OnePlus 15 doesn't support eSIM, which is pretty inconvenient for users who already rely on it. The global version not only supports 2 nano SIM cards, but also 2 eSIMs. People who travel frequently will probably appreciate the global OnePlus 15 a lot more. In general, companies will try to keep the hardware between 2 versions as identical as possible. It helps control production costs and avoids confusion for consumers. OnePlus did a great job here. Whether Chinese or global, every configuration of the OnePlus 15 is exactly the same. But if you're buying a phone from another brand, there's one thing you must pay attention to: the battery. Because of certain European regulations, many brands make the battery slightly smaller on units not sold in China. For example, the Vivo X300 sold in Europe and the global versions of the Poco X7 series all have smaller batteries than their Chinese siblings. So when I learned that the OnePlus 15 still has the full 7300 mAh battery for every region, I was genuinely curious how they managed to get around those rules. In any case, you guys finally get to enjoy ultra long battery life without compromise. So what about the warranty? Can a Chinese phone be repaired under warranty in another country? Unfortunately, most brands, including OnePlus, require you to ship the device back to China for warranty repairs. Even if you are willing to pay a local repair center, they may not want to take the risk. In this regard, the global version has a clear advantage. The same applies to system maintenance. Global versions usually have longer software support cycles. For example, global OnePlus 15 users get 4 major OS updates and 6 years of security patches. But the security patches updates for the Chinese version lag behind the global version by 1 year. Some brands are even worse. They don't even disclose the maintenance cycle for their Chinese models. If you only compare official retail prices, the Chinese versions are always unbelievably cheaper. Even if you need a third-party site like Geekwheels to help you buy and ship the device, the final cost is still far lower than the global version. This is why, despite all the drawbacks mentioned earlier, there are still many people willing to go out of their way to purchase the Chinese version. And if you're not a fan of Chinese software, you can root the phone and flash the global ROM into it. The OnePlus 15 has practically no restrictions on unlocking the bootloader, which is a huge advantage compared to many other brands. Honestly, the conclusion is pretty clear. If you have the budget, the global version is definitely the more convenient and hassle-free choice. As a benchmark for global smartphones, the OnePlus 15 proves that the global models can indeed offer the same battery capacity as the Chinese version. The large battery is no longer a Chinese exclusive advantage. However, the Chinese version might be a little troublesome to use in your country, but the main benefit is that it's cheaper, much cheaper, incredibly cheaper. And if you are able to flash the global ROM, many of the issues disappear entirely. Oh, and don't forget, there are many flagship phones sold only in China that you definitely don't want to miss. I hope this video helps clear up your confusion about whether you should buy the Chinese version of a phone. I'm Wilfeng from China. We'll see you next time.